Here we're going to look at how they calculate the CPI. By they, I mean the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They're the ones that calculate the CPI. So this is supposed to represent the average cost of our goods and services over time. So really what it is, it's the price of a fixed and weighted basket over time, how that changes. So here you see we calculate the CPI. It's the price of a basket in a current time period divided by the price of the basket in a base time period multiplied by 100. So really it's this index that we create. Once you create the index, you can use the CPI in any 2 years to calculate an inflation rate over that time period. So here, what they do, first, they fixed a weighted basket of goods and services. They want this to make sense for our daily lives. So they try to go out there and look at all the things you might buy in a month, and they try to put that in a basket, and then they weight it towards what we spend more of our money on. So housing. Housing is usually the biggest expenditure for a household, housing for a household each month. So that gets the biggest weight. After that, transportation, food and beverages, medical care, and so on and so forth. So they go out and they fix this weighted basket. They find the price of that basket in current time periods and they look over time. And so then compared to a base year, they'll fix a base year. They look to see if the CPI is going up or if it's going down to see if we have inflation or deflation. So the first thing they do, they fix this weighted basket. They go out, they find the prices of the goods and services. So I think a lot of this can be done on the internet these days. And then they go out and they get a cute little capuchin monkey. They teach it to use a calculator and they have it compute our basket costs. We're going to do a very simple exam. You don't really need the monkey, but it makes it a lot more fun. Maybe a little more difficult, but a lot more fun. Okay, so we're going to do a simple example of how you can construct the CPI and then calculate inflation from that. Again, just like with our GDP example, it's a lot more complicated than this. There's a lot more goods and services involved, and there's weighting involved. Here, I'm just doing a very simple example just to illustrate the point. So in my fictitious world, we're going to fix our basket with 3 things. We're going to pay rent once a month to our 2-bedroom apartment. We're going to eat 60 cheeseburgers. I'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. I don't know if you know what that's from. I'll let you look into that. Maybe you can get back to me. Okay. And for our entertainment, we're going to see 2 movies a month. So we're going to fix our basket. We're not really weighting it here. Okay. We're just going to fix our basket. And then we're going to find our prices in 2 time periods, June of 2021 and June of 2022. Okay. And so then we multiply our quantity times the price and we can calculate our basket cost. So in 2021, it's $13.40. In 2022, it's $16.04 once you do that. So we have the cost of our basket in 2 different time periods. Now we can construct our CPI. Our base year CPI is always going to be equal to 100 because the current price of the basket is going to equal the base year price of the basket. So here the CPI in 2021, June 2021, is just 100. But now here for 2022, June 2022, right, it's 1604 divided by that base year price of the basket of 1340, multiply it by 100, and our CPI goes up to 119.7. Now, if we want to calculate inflation rate, it is just a simple percent change looking at how the CPI changes from 2021 to 2022. So here we go. 19.7% inflation rate. That is a lot. That is a problem. If your price is going up on average 20% over a year, that could put a dent in your wallet, okay? So this is how we construct the CPI, a very simple version of it. And then once we have the CPI in any 2 time periods, we can find the inflation rate over those 2 time periods by just doing a simple percent change. So this is an example of inflation. We do have examples of deflation, okay? That can happen. Year over year, it's very rare to see deflation. Month over month, it can happen, but year over year, it's pretty rare. Here, this time period, we're looking at the change from 1931 to 1932. So that was Great Depression times here in the United States. Those were tough times. So what you're going to see year over year, the CPI was going down. Nobody had any money to buy anything, so you had to lower the prices to sell your products. So deflation can be very destabilizing as well. So you incur certain costs, you're willing to incur certain costs, thinking you're going to get a certain price for your goods and services, and then you have to lower that price way down. Firms start to make losses, and then firms can start to shut down, and that starts to exacerbate the problem, especially as people start to lose jobs, the people that worked at those companies. So we don't usually see a lot of deflation year over year. Normally what we see, they just call it disinflation. So it's just lower levels of inflation than we're used to during bad times. Okay, so this is an example of deflation.